All right, boys. So the Kansas City Royals have unveiled the mother of all ballpark foods. I need you to listen to this now. It's called the Taste of the K Taco. All right. It's a hot dog wrapped in a cheeseburger quesadilla and topped with barbecue brisket, fries, lettuce, pickled onions, sriracha Cracker Jacks, and barbecue sauce.
That sounds delicious.
And I thought the K meant
what's it called again?
It's called the Taste
What's it
of
called
the
again?
K. The Taste of the K Taco.
Oh, I thought maybe Kim Kardashian had another video that got leaked.
I thought they put
that's a whole different. That's a whole different.
Yeah,
thing.
I thought they put ketamine in it. I was
she
like,
has
no
a lot of
wonder
public beef.
Best food.
Yeah. Oh my God!
You ever had a ketamine taco before? Welcome to Kansas City.
Anyway, this has been co-signed by our boy Mike Golick Jr., who tweeted this out, and he said, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord."
Yes, dude. That's what you enter heaven. That's literally what you see the first thing you walk into.
All right. Well, it is.
Dude.
It is Friday. All right, before our boy Jake leaves Dallas, we want to do the top takeaways from this week's SEC Media Days. So let's get right to it. This is Crain and Company. All right, boys, it's Friday. Jake, you were able to secure some top-notch interviews this week, and we want to run every single one of them today. But before we get to the interviews, I just want your unfiltered top takeaways from this entire week at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, these interviews are fantastic. I mean, we got a ton of big-time people, and it was a lot of fun conversations, a lot of conversations about other teams. But I think maybe probably the main takeaway that I got from being here is that for the first time in a long, long time, there is a bevy of parity at the top of the SEC. Now, that doesn't mean that Alabama won't play Georgia in the SEC championship or Georgia won't win the SEC championship, but I think there's legitimately 5 teams that, looking at it right now, we could say have a decent chance or a good chance of winning the conference. That's Georgia, that's Alabama, that's Texas, that's Ole Miss, and that's Missouri. And that's not counting the surprise we see every year of one team. Will it be Tennessee? Will it be LSU? And it seems like in years past, we've pretty much had 1.5 teams, right, that we thought could actually win it. The favorite, and maybe if Bama's not the favorite, them, or if Georgia's not the favorite, them, which I think is gonna cause a couple of things. One, absolute carnage during this SEC regular season, which I am totally here for, right? More storylines, more headlines, more teams winning, some teams losing for the first time in a while. And I think that's actually going to help the Southeastern Conference outside of the automatic bid you get in the 12-team playoff of having that strength of schedule and maybe being able to backdoor an extra team because there were so many teams that had good seasons. So I'm just so excited for the first time in a long time because we see this in college basketball in the SEC. There's more parity now than ever. And now we're getting it this year, at least up to this point, in terms of football. So I'm absolutely jacked up for this season. I'm more excited. I always get super excited, but the parity lends to chaos. Chaos lends to fun, and I'm always down for fun.
Yeah, I can agree with that. What I took away from this SEC Media Days is Billy Napier and Sam Pittman are cooked. They're cooked.
That's the vibe. I mean,
it's
what
over
made
with.
This?
Yeah,
so, like they remind
you already thought that.
It reminds me of kind of what's that movie where that horse gets stuck in the mud? Never-ending Story.
I don't want to. We don't need to be talking about Falco right now.
Okay, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like the fans are trying to pull him out of the mud, right? They're trying to pull him out, and they just can't get out. And I saw both of them on that podium, and they just look like they already know it's over. They can see the missile, right? They can see it, and it's just the asteroid is slowly coming down, and you can't run from it. You can't run from it.
Oh my goodness, Jake, what do you say about that?
He says I'm right.
Well,
you send Bruce Willis. You send Bruce Willis up to that asteroid and you blow that thing up, okay?
He can't even talk.
No, it's not. It's It's even better. It's even better than what they did in that movie Greenland with Oh Boy Who Played 300, where nobody just did anything. They just let it hit the earth. But Sam Pittman, yes. Billy Napier, no. Because I think when you look at the circumstance around Florida, and we've talked about this. So let's say Billy Napier goes 6-6, right? Which, even though I think Florida's a pretty decent team, I mean, going 6-6 with that schedule wouldn't be horrible. When you have basically the same schedule this year, next year, it's just flipped, and your roster is going to get gutted like a fish on a cutting board if your head coach leaves, you want to bring in a new guy into that? I think Billy doesn't have to be great. They just have to be kind of good, and that first game against Miami, I'll continue to say it. I feel like that first game against Miami is worth 3 years for each team. I really believe that.
I don't want to get too technical, but the devil is in the details. I don't think it was Falcor that got stuck in the mud in that running story. It was the horse.
It was the horse. Right? Yeah, the horse got stuck in the mud.
Falcor's the dog.
The dog, yeah. Okay, sad nonetheless. Jake, we've been talking about for 2 years. This week, when we were at our first SEC Media Days, Texas and Oklahoma coming into the conference. Here we are. We're on the precipice of being able to see them in the conference for the first time. How would you say that Texas and Oklahoma handled this week at SEC Media Days?
Really well. Nobody said anything crazy. Nobody came in here overconfident. They came in and did what they were supposed to do. And after seeing the fandom and just getting the vibe out here, they're a perfect fit because they are as nuts as we are. They're as crazy and as Looney Tunes about this sport as we are, which means you used to be able to hang out in the neighborhood. You used to come to the subdivision and drive around. You drive past the house, and you're like, man, that party looks great. Now, Texas and Oklahoma, you get to walk into the asylum with us. Not only that, you're invited to the backyard. Grab some ribs, grab some coleslaw, maybe some mashed potatoes, grab you a couple cold beers. Yeah. So I think they handled it fantastic. I think they fit in perfectly, and they're going to make the SEC better, and not just in football, guys. I want to make sure to make this point in all the sports. I mean, especially softball, because Oklahoma is basically bringing a transformer in here.
Yeah, it's one of those things like welcome to prison. That doesn't mean you're one of us, though. They still got some room to work.
No, they're
work. Before
they're one of us.
You're going to take 2 weeks of getting jumped in the cell at 11:30, but then we'll talk about it.
It's a real Shawshank situation.
No, there's no escaping. There's no escaping.
So wait. We got to jump Oklahoma and Texas in. All right. Well,
yeah. Welcome to SEC. It
was a pretty cool dynamic to see Nick Saban need a credential first of all to get into SEC Media Days, but I mean more importantly, just him not being the head coach at Alabama this week.
Are you sure he's not? Because it sounded like it after this week at SEC Media.
Hey, I'm not saying he's still not running things, okay, but he is not the head coach anymore at Alabama.
Look, it was crazy watching Nick Saban stare at Kalen DeBoer while Nick Saban was on the set of SEC Network and Kalen DeBoer was talking. It's basically like the plot of Inception. That's what it felt like to me. No, man, it's weird. It's wild. And I want to tell you guys a rumor I heard, and I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I was also told that the same lady that turned Nick Saban away without a credential turned Greg Sankey away without a credential.
Look, what's happening over there?
She's doing her job.
What's happening in Dallas right now?
Look,
get your aunt,
call
all right?
It first year here or whatever. Can you just
cousin Becky,
if that's true? Yeah, can you just imagine if you're the commissioner of the SEC being turned around at the door of the media days of your business? That's like them stopping you, and when you own the gas station, them stopping you at the door because they don't know who you are into your own gas station.
Now you got me thinking. Now I'm wondering if it was an undercover boss situation where Sankey's like, hey, that was a test. Good job. We run a tight ship here.
There's too much. Greg's got too much going on. No, about that.
It's either that or it's undercover boss. How do you not know that it's me, Greg Sankey? You're fired.
I am my credential.
Or you're undercover 6 feet in the ground and someone else is asking for credentials.
Well, that too.
Yeah, now you're undercover on a plane with a pillowcase on your head getting flown to North Korea.
Yeah, welcome to it.
All right, well, let's get to some of these interviews. First one up is Jake sitting down with Roman Harper.
The man sitting to my right needs no introduction, but I got to do it because we're a sports show in case, 3 of you don't know who it is. Roman Harper, one of the best players, and I don't want to date him, one of my favorite players to watch growing up. Catch him SEC Network everywhere, does an incredible job. Roman, first off, thank you for joining me, man. It's always so good to see you.
Appreciate it. It's always good. And this is when I always get to see you every year. It's
kind
of like a reunion. We do this every year. So it's always good to catch up and hear everybody else's thoughts and this is talking season, so I kind of enjoy it.
Well, I would say it's the best part of media days is getting to see everybody. That's the thing. And I want to start with the obvious. You got Texas and Oklahoma coming in the SEC, which, I mean, to me, Roman, it seems like a really good fit for a couple reasons. They're big brands, they're traditional, and they're as nuts as we are about college football. You know, the state of Alabama and the state of Georgia, just short term. You know, we can talk about 5 years, whatever, but coming into this first year, I have to think Texas probably has the best chance out of the two to make some noise. What do you think about the Longhorns?
Yeah, for sure. The Texas' schedule kind of sets up and allows them to be more successful just with when and where they play games at. Texas has the better roster, but that doesn't mean they're better than Oklahoma. They still have lost 8 out of the last 10 games to Oklahoma. So they still have, I look at Texas' schedule, they got 3 games that I'm actually thinking about that will be tough for them. They got the Red River Shootout, which is, you know, and then you got Georgia at home, and then you got on the road at Texas A&M. Other than that, you should win every other game. So those games will determine Texas' success at the end of the year, and we'll see where they're at. It'll be very interesting. They lost a couple pieces, especially up front on defense, but let's just be flat out honest. Oklahoma's the better program. You need to put some respect on Oklahoma because it's really Oklahoma bringing all the luggage and all the baggage with them, the championship quality. You know, they got more championships, they got more Heisman winners, they are a more storied program in football in cases of that. And I just like the fact that these 2 universities coming to the SEC, it really just expands the opportunities and makes the SEC more championship-proof. And not just in football, but in all the other sports as well, where both of these universities are dominant in other sports. You look at women's volleyball for Texas, women's softball at Oklahoma. There's no better program to go to than those 2 schools.
Yeah, you want to talk about a dynasty. Patty Gass on that Oklahoma softball team. Look, they're the big dog walking in. And you know, I agree with you. I mean, women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie when you look at the championships and who's had more success lately. My question about Oklahoma, and I mean, you know this better than anybody being on the defensive side of the ball, knowing what you're seeing on the other side, bringing in a new quarterback, Jackson Arnold, who I think has a ton of potential. I mean, you watch, he's going to go through the ups and downs, having to replace the whole offensive line. But something I've noticed about both these teams, and it's funny because Sarkisian is an offensive coach and Venables is a defensive coach, is it seems like the toughness has been increased by both of them. You know, you look at Texas, the joke was, oh, it's, you know, Club Med and you know, there's a softness about it or whatever. And Sarkisian has flipped that. You saw what they were able to come in and do against Alabama last year. Then you look at Oklahoma, I think Brent Venables has brought a more complete kind of mindset to that team. Can you just talk about the toughness factor that you have to not thrive in the SEC, but just survive in the SEC? I mean, you know it firsthand.
You do, especially nowadays. Everybody's so much bigger, faster, more physical game. That was one thing that Texas really wanted to get into and make sure they got better 3 years ago when everything hit the fan. They said, we got to hurry up and get better. We got to get bigger. We got to get more physical. If we want to at least survive, like you're talking about, through a schedule in the SEC. Both of these teams are going to try and do it. It'll be interesting to see. Texas has a really good return in the offensive line as far as like people playing and doing all these other things. But Texas had a good O-line last year, and Oklahoma dominated them in that game when you go back and watch it on film. So, like, it's all about who plays the best that day. So what are you going to get out of these teams on a week-to-week basis? Like I said before, Texas has a schedule that we look at and says sets up for them better than Oklahoma, but they still got to go out there and play it. And Oklahoma's recruiting. They'll be better up front on the defensive side. Yes, they got to do better on the offensive side, and Jaxson Arnold has to take care of the football. In the game that he played against versus Arizona in the Las Vegas Bowl, he did not play well. And so he's young. It'll be interesting to see, as all the pieces around him are better at Oklahoma, how does he continue to evolve and get better himself so now he can be suitable and help his team go out there and win football games. That's what I'm here to tell you guys. That's what I'm here to watch. And I can't wait to see it all. It's going to be really exciting this year, having these 2 teams. It's just more fan bases that are more crazy, like you alluded to earlier. Like both of these fan bases are crazy and love football, and it really is a really good marriage.
No, without a doubt. They're definitely invited to the barbecue. Texas, Oklahoma, definitely invited to the barbecue. I'd be remiss, Roman, here with Roman Harper, former Alabama legend, does an incredible job covering the sport. A couple more here. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Alabama. Kind of a big change that went down with Nick Saban moving on. And, you know, I've always said, and it's easy to sit here and say from the outside looking in, you know, you never really want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that followed the guy. But when I look at what Kalen DeBoer's doing, and Roman, I keep saying, anybody that thought Alabama was just going to disappear in recruiting, because as Nick Saban obviously did an incredible job at Alabama, but Alabama, even under Mike Shula, recruited pretty decently. Like, it's not like they were finishing 50th or 60th. You know, what do you say to the Alabama fans the first time something inevitably is going to go wrong? It typically always does in a college football season. What do you say to the Alabama fans that may be worried there's not enough equity built up with Kalen DeBoer at Alabama if they go lose at Wisconsin or lose to Georgia, just to be patient? Because this guy's a hell of a football
coach. The only way you're
coach.
going to build up equity anything is overtime.
That's exactly right.
So, understanding that Alabama fans are going to be mad whenever they lose the first game. It's going to be the sky's falling. Look, Nick Saban lost 2 games the last 3 years. And the sky was falling.
I know.
Right? And he's the greatest of all time. And so this is just part of the operation. You know, Alabama fans get mad when they lose 1 game. Auburn fans are a little unrealistic as far as their some expectations and what all they have going on too. It's just the state of Alabama within itself and their sports and how they look at college football. And so that's not going to change. The thing about Kalen DeBoer that's really been impressive to me is that, you check his resume. I didn't even think he was available when Nick stepped out. That's a great hire by Greg Byrne. Continue to shout him out all the time. Big fan of him and what he's been able to do with bringing him in. And so you can't deny what Kalen DeBoer and his success has been at all different levels. And so the man can coach. He has a unique ability to be able to do that, bring guys together in a short amount of time and get things turned around and winning at a high level. And so that's going to happen. And the one question everybody had was, could he recruit? And he's getting guys left and right that everybody's really, really surprised with. And for me, I always just step back and say, man, when you step on campus at Alabama, it feels different. Yep. It looks different. The facilities are second to none. And when you're able to show these things, and you got a coach that seems a little bit more empathetic, who's really a giving and caring guy. Not saying Nick was not that, but like, this guy's just different, and it feels different there. So some guys that probably were off the board at Alabama, they come there on a visit like, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not as it's not as ran as hardly as Nick Saban ran it, where it's like, it's my way, the highway. And it's okay. Like, my brother Brian, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
He compared it to, like, he's like, Nick Saban ran it like Thanos. We're like, hey, I got the iron, I got the glove, snap of a finger, I got a national championship, and if you don't like it my way or highway, you're gone.
I'm Nick Saban.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm gone. And that was a great way to run it. But now a different guy's running it. And he doesn't have the glove with the infinity gauntlet. It's a little bit more loving.
I love your references now.
Yeah, he's empowered other people around him, from the recruiting process. The players are talking to more. You see other coaches talking to the media more. Things are more open. It's just a different feel. And so, I was at a team meeting, and they had music playing in the team meeting room before the team meeting started.
Yeah.
And Kalen DeBoer is already in the meeting room and just talking and shooting the crap with other guys, and it's just a different feel there. And it's adjustment for everybody. And these little things are happening on a day-by-day schedule, and everybody's adjusting well. And you're hearing the same things being repeated by all the great players there that are on campus right now. And it's not just coach-fed. It's like player-led. The players are buying into it. And so it's a different feel. And just understand, man, this guy's going to win. It's just going to take time. But I don't think it's going to take that long at all.
Yeah, definitely. And when you got that roster and more resources in Saudi Arabia, it definitely helps. Roman, really appreciate your time, man. I know you're really busy. It's just great to see your brother.
Man, great seeing you as always.
Continued success, man. And thanks for taking some time for us on Crain & Company. If you like this, subscribe. If you don't, I don't know why you're watching a football show.
Got Roman Harper, man, one of the greats.
Love it.
This next guy, though, Jordan Rodgers. Check out this interview. He's got a little bit to say about certain people.
All right, we are here day 3 of SEC Media Days, and we got the second best looking guy here outside of myself, SEC Network.
You got to bring confidence to SEC Media Days.
You've got to.
You're going to get eaten up and
you
spit
got
out.
To.
So
That's exactly right. I'm like Kalen DeBoer right now. It's just super confident, making my way through here. Jordan Rodgers, SEC Network, former standout quarterback. Again, just you've seen him all over TV, maybe even Instagram here lately.
Unfortunately.
But Jordan, dude, it's always great to see you, man.
Good to see you, bro.
Definitely. There's so much changes that's going on, not just in the SEC. We see what's going on in conference realignment of the Big Ten. We see what's going on with the playoff expansion. Is this the most exciting time ever for college football? Because it feels like we're turning a new chapter, regardless if you like all the changes or dislike. Is this the most excited you've ever been for a college football season?
No doubt. It's easy to say, like, because I work mostly with the SEC, I'm most excited about this SEC season, which is true, but the Big Ten growing, the ACC growing, I think we're going to have the best football that we've ever had, especially with the expanding playoffs. I think there was a lot of negative feedback at first, and once people realized the amount of good games down the stretch we're going to have, the environments, they're going to be now playoff environments, at home field advantages is going to be awesome. So I'm excited. Most excited I've been about a college football season.
Without a doubt. We have Jeff Lebby here at Mississippi State. Again, his first year. I was talking when I was hanging out with a couple other media members last night, and when you're a coordinator that becomes a head coach, calling the plays, it's such a fine line to walk to be the head coach of the whole team and not just really be the offensive coordinator that's called the head coach. How do you think it's going to work out for Jeff Lebby in his first year? If you became a head coach, a coordinator was a head coach, would you just call the plays and say, "Look, I'm not going to hand off what I do best, what got me here"? It's a. I don't think enough people talk about that.
Yeah, look, honestly, I probably wouldn't, just because I've been around so many head coaches. You don't realize all the responsibilities you have with boosters, athletics, meetings, facility. Like they are literally the CEOs of a very large company. If I could call plays like Jeff Lebby, I wouldn't give it to anybody.
Yeah,
so I absolutely understand why he's holding on to that. I think he's one of the best. Like, he was the first name. There were only 2 names that I thought of when that job opened up, and he was one of them. Love Jeff. I think when you're at a school like Mississippi State, or better put, if you're not a Georgia, an LSU, a Bama, teams that can recruit at the very top, you have to have a scheme that can help you win. And I think that's the first step for Mississippi State, getting the scheme that can actually create advantages when your athletes, your size, your speed maybe is at a disadvantage for the most part. So I love Jeff. I think he's going to get it rolling. I think they're in a complete rebuild right now.
They are.
Don't expect it to turn the corner overnight. I wouldn't be surprised if they win a few that we don't think they have a chance to, just because they can be so dynamic on offense. It's going to take some time, but he's the right guy.
Yeah, Blake Shapen's interesting to me too. Look, I'll always trust a shortstop. Obviously at Baylor, he got hurt, didn't really work out. When you look at the top of the SEC, I've continued to say all week, I think one of the biggest headlines that nobody's really talking about, because there's a million headlines.
Yeah.
Saban's not at Bama anymore. I feel like there's more teams that could actually win the SEC this year than we've had. Jordan, I can't remember. I can honestly say 5. To me, it's Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, Missouri, and maybe Tennessee sneaks up there. There's always somebody that's surprised. Have you seen parity like this at the quote-unquote top-heavy SEC?
Not at all. Not at all. And you don't even mention a team like Oklahoma, and I get it. Their schedule's crazy. They bring everybody back on a really good defense. They have a talented quarterback. I just don't think I think there's 4 or 5 teams that you can't sit there and go, they don't have a chance.
Yeah.
And there's obviously 3 or 4 that you're like, they have a legitimate chance. So because of how the schedule lays out, because of the amount of talent, and really I think as I was going through my quarterback rankings, the amount of talent we have at that position, every team that's got a dude has a chance. And we're 8 or 9, 10 deep of quarterbacks that are legitimate, like, studs. So I think that always creates the parity that we're looking for.
And the young quarterback class that's going to come behind them is
super talented,
absolutely loaded as well. My last question for you, Jordan Rodgers here, SEC Network. I talked with Carson Beck the other day, and he had a great answer. I asked him, how are you trying to evolve? What are some things you're trying to get better at? And he's like, the crazy part is it's not really, the physical attributes or anything like that. It's last year I relied on my center to really help shape the play. This year, I feel like I can take on that responsibility. Can you just talk as a former quarterback? I don't think, and to our audience who didn't play quarterback or didn't play football, just how much goes on before the snap. I don't think people realize that.
Especially in a system like that, pro style. So I was in a very similar system. And everybody, I think the casual fan, or you hear the Michael Jordans, the Patrick Mahomes talking about, like, when the game slows down, I don't think people truly understand what that means or how it happens. And I'm going to tell you how it happens. I remember my very first year at Vandy in a pro style system. Everything was moving so fast because before the snap, I was really unsure about, are we protecting this guy? Do I have a hot on this side? And like the box to me, so the D-line and the linebackers, I wasn't confident in what was happening protection-wise. Second year, once I took over complete control of that, and every time before we snapped, I knew exactly who we were blocking, where my concerns were, where my hots were. Now I can take those 6 or 7 guys and they're off my plate. Yeah. Now I'm only looking at maybe 3 or 4 guys. That's when the game slows down. When you're not looking at 11, but you're looking at 2 or 3 or 4 guys, or 1 read or 2 reads. The biggest misconception from the quarterback position in our sport is that you make 4 or 5 reads post-snap. If you're trying to make 4 or 5 reads post-snap, you're done.
You're done.
You can't play the position. If you don't eliminate 1, 2, or even 3 options before the snap even occurs, you can't play the position. So Carson Beck, I think that's what's scary is he was a first-year starter last year. That, like you said, depended on his center for a lot of that protection stuff. That's not going to be the case. He's going to have even more command of this offense. It's going to slow down for him even more. I know they're missing a few pieces, but they got studs, and he's no doubt, I think, the best quarterback in the entire country, not because of what you said, the physical attributes, which he absolutely has. But I don't think there's a guy that manipulates the trajectory and the speed of the football better than him.
Nuanced passer.
Which, again, the casual fan, you're like, wait, what is that? What are we doing? Yeah. But the ability to get it up and over a second-tier defender, a linebacker with anticipation and accuracy, that's why the NFL is just all over him. He's going to be a top draft.
Yeah, I always say it's like being a Major League Baseball pitcher. Look, if you can throw it 100, that's great.
Awesome,
but if you have no off-speed pitch, they're going to be hitting it off the scoreboard literally every inning. You always knock it out of the park. Jordan Rodgers.
It's always good.
Great to see you, brother.
Yeah.
Definitely, look, get inside the head of a football player. Crain and Company, not going to get this information many places. Make sure you subscribe.
All right, great stuff right there from Jordan Rodgers. Before we get to Sam Acho, who we've never had on the show before, I need to tell you about Z-Biotics. And boys, what a great time to read a Z-Biotics ad on a Friday, because I'm going to be having some Z-Biotics tonight. Make no mistake about it. After a night out on the town, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night of drinking or I can feel great the next day. That is, until I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for how you feel the next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme, breaks down this product, okay? So just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you will feel better tomorrow. I'm not kidding, y'all. I drink this stuff on the weekends before I have a couple cold sodas, maybe a couple Kentucky Straights. I mean, I know you feel the same way.
I'm telling you, this stuff, we're not here, this isn't a gimmick, we're not here to make this up. I drank this stuff the day before 4th of July, and I spent the whole day at Floribama and woke up the next day and felt great.
That is a true
So that's how you know.
College football coming around the corner, too. You need to load up on Z-Biotics. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions. There's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up now on the pre-alcohol. Go to zbiotics.com/booster to get 15% off your first order when you use Booster at the checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/booster. Use that code BOOSTER at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. All right, now let's get into our interview with Sam Acho.
All right, we are here with Sam Acho, ESPN analyst, author, was a hell of a player. I remember watching him play. Sam, first off, it's great to meet you, man.
Yeah, good to meet you as well, Jake. Yeah.
We're here last day SEC Media Days, and, you know, we've gone through all these teams, and, you know, when you recruit at a really high level, like in Alabama, you know, like at Texas, just because you may have lost some guys to the NFL draft, maybe you had 1 or 2 transfer, doesn't mean that position group is technically a weakness. It's just unproven, like Alabama secondary. Can you just talk to don't judge a book by its cover, because you recruited well enough, you're replacing studs with studs.
Well, to your point, Alabama secondary is a good example of that. I think that Texas's wide receiver core is a good example of that. I was listening to Steve Sarkisian yesterday, and even Nick Saban. And Nick Saban was saying, man, Texas is one of the deepest rosters in all of college football. He was talking about their receivers. Even Sark said, man, our receivers are 7 deep. I have 7 guys that I trust. And I listened to that. I'm like, wait, Xavier Worthy's in the NFL. Adonai Mitchell's in the NFL. Jordan Whittington, their top 3 receivers in the NFL. JT Sanders, your star tight end, in the NFL. What do you mean you have guys that you trust? Well, there's 7 guys who can play, but to your point, they need to go and prove it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of programs, that's what I love about college football. There are players who are talented, and maybe they were great at one program, they're transferring to another. Players who are awesome in college, and they have high expectations, but you have to actually go out there. You get to go out there and prove it. And I think that's what the Alabama secondary is going to do. I think, what was it, Malachi Moore yesterday was saying, man, I'm looking around my DB room and I don't see anybody who I recognize, you know? But it's an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to come together and let's prove what we can do and prove who we are, what we can do.
Without a doubt. And where I think it gets a little bit worrisome is when you have kind of those combinations of unproven guys or maybe guys that haven't played together, like Oklahoma with a fresh new quarterback and a new offensive line coming together, even though the offensive line talent they're bringing in, their O-line coach is an incredible offensive line coach. That's kind of where you get a little worrisome about it. But I do want to stick on Texas for a second. And I hate talking about injuries, man. I really do. But it's a real thing. And as much hype as we've heard about Arch Manning, we still really don't know. You know, spring games are pretty controlled. It's vanilla ice cream. It's peanut butter and jelly that you're throwing out there.
What kind of jelly, though? It's strawberry jelly or grape? You never know. Is it Smucker Smackers? I'm saying.
To me, I'm not a huge jelly guy, but I'm going to have to go grape if
respect.
All right,
we can keep this interview going.
But with good, thank goodness. Red pill or blue pill. When you look at Quinn Ewers, I'm looking at that Michigan game.
Okay.
Early.
Okay.
And with Michigan's defense, before I go all in on Texas, do you believe that Quinn Ewers can put together a year and stay healthy? Because if he doesn't, obviously, as good as Arch is going to be down the road, that's going to be detrimental to Texas trying to take that one next step and win a national championship.
Well, yes and no. So So I think I'll start with the second question about, like, okay, if Quinn gets injured, what will Texas be? I think two things. Last year, Quinn got injured and missed 2 games. Texas still won those games with a backup quarterback that wasn't Arch Manning. Now, Arch did get a chance to get some run, and he looked, I mean, you could see the talent.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
And so if an injury were to occur again this year, I actually have a lot of confidence in Arch Manning based off of the experience that he had last season. Not even really per se the spring game, but a good spring game, but also the times he played, and now being in the program for 2 years. So I have a lot of confidence in Arch Manning. Question number 2. Question number 1, can Quinn stay healthy? And that's the question I think needs to be answered. Missed 2 games last year, missed several games, maybe I think it was 3 or maybe 2.5, if you will, the year before. I think Quinn needs to try to prove those doubters wrong, and the one way to do that is by putting in the work. I think that the guy's name is Torrey Becton, the strength coach. It's like his body has changed, right? Quinn's body, I think he lost 15 pounds of fat and gained muscle going into last year. What is that going to look like this season? He looks more confident. I saw him yesterday. He looks more confident. He looks like he's got more of a swagger's not the right word. The right word is just like a comfort a comfort in who he is about him. But there is a physical beating that may happen in the SEC. It does happen in college football, but maybe even heightened in the SEC. So can your body composition change to be able to withstand those hits? Go back to Colt McCoy back in 2009, right? Alabama game, national championship, boom, Marcel Darius hit, all of a sudden, right, nerve damage. I was in that game. I played in that game. Colt couldn't feel his arm, couldn't grip a ball. So that's what you may have to face, or may get to face week in and week out. Is your body ready for it?
A couple more questions here with Sam Acho from ESPN. Check out his book as well. Sam, looking at the SEC schedules, right? It drives me nuts when people are like, oh, well, we just need to try and make the schedules all equal. That's impossible. Teams are cyclical. That's not the way it works. But when I look at even from the top to the bottom, man, I'm really leaning toward, I don't even think this is a quote-unquote hot take, but when you look at the SEC, I have a very hard time seeing any team going undefeated during the regular season. I really do.
I haven't thought about that, but that's a great point. The SEC is a gauntlet, and they just added 2, I would say, elite teams, right?
Sure.
Texas, for sure. Oklahoma, this is year 3 in Brent Venables' system. Like, this is the year where usually coaches make that jump. Year 2 for some teams, year 3 is usually when coaches make that jump, make or break, do or die. So Oklahoma is another team that you're adding to that gauntlet as well. And so I don't see a team going undefeated in the SEC, but also I don't think it matters so much, right? 12-team playoff. SEC, whatever conference champion is going to win, and then also like 7 at-large teams are going to get, or 7, maybe 8 at-large teams. So there's going to be opportunity, even if a team loses 1 or 2 games. Some people have even said, even if they lose a 3rd game, to make the college football playoff. And so to your point, it's a daunting schedule. I haven't looked at anybody's schedule and said, oh yeah, they're going to go undefeated. Yeah. Even if it is a Georgia, right? Texas plays Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's schedule isn't a walk amongst the two.
Correct. So one of those teams has to lose, and those are the 2 favorites for a lot of people in a lot of people's eyes in the SEC. And so I don't see anyone going undefeated, but I think that those difficult matchups are going to help weather teams and get them ready for what will be a new era when it comes to college football playoff home games, away games, multiple games in order to get to the championship.
Yeah. I just hope we don't enter a world where conference championship games don't matter anymore. I think maybe to teams that have won it a lot, but to like the Ole Misses, who's never tied for the West in 2003, didn't get to play for it. I hope we don't lose that. But Sam, great talking to you, man. Great meeting you. Really appreciate it. Sam Acho, ESPN. Check him out. The man knows his stuff. Like I said, was a hell of a player.
Really good take right there from Sam Acho. Love watching the guy. This next guy, though, in my opinion, the best receiver in college football. Jake sits down with Luther Burden Jr. from Missouri.
You've been saying that.
All right, now there's a lot of electricity here in Dallas and SEC Media Days, but one of the most electric players, not only in the Southeastern Conference, but in the country, Luther Burden III is joining us. Luther, man, what's up? How's it going?
I'm happy to be here in Dallas, Texas, man. Hello.
Yeah, well, man, I want to talk your game again. Everybody talks about the speed, and that's obvious. I saw what you did against K-State. See what you do when you get the ball in your hands. But there's so much more about playing receiver, especially as you make your way working to the next level. What are some things outside of just your natural athletic ability have you been working on to improve your game all around heading into the season?
I've been, focusing on top of the route and releases mainly because you can never be great at top of the route or releases. So I definitely took pride in that this offseason.
When you got a guy like Brady Cook, obviously the trust that y'all have, the chemistry y'all have, the connection that y'all have is fantastic. When you and him are working and you guys are talking about stuff on the board, what are some of the strengths that he has that you think sets him apart and has helped him elevate his game, which helps you elevate your game?
I feel like his confidence is out the roof right now. I feel like he's, the most confident since I've been here. And that's a great thing. That's all I think he needed, really, was some confidence in himself. And because I always believed in him, So for him to believe in himself, and it's gonna take us to the next level.
You guys took a huge step last year with the season that you had. Now the expectations are to maintain that success and even surpass it. What's it like in the locker room right now as you guys feel like you're turning a page for Missouri? Not that Missouri hadn't won before. I've seen Missouri playing the SEC championship game before. But you guys have a chance to go win this whole thing. Just give me the vibe in the locker room. Are guys, you don't want to get too up. Is everybody just grinding, getting their work in, and trying to just replicate what you did last year?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's definitely aware of what this team can do this year. So I feel like no one's taking it for granted. Everyone's coming in with the right mindset. It's not gonna come to us. We got to work to get it. So everybody's humble and everybody got a something to prove mindset. And we're just gonna continue to establish our elite edge, and we're gonna stay grinding.
Yeah, I was a special teams coordinator for 4 years. I understand the importance of it. Wish I had a guy like you back there returning. How much fun is it for you to play special teams to be able to affect the game more than just playing wide receiver?
It's super fun. I mean, because you can win or lose on special teams. So I feel like that with me being back down on special team, can help our team tremendously, winning games. Just even just creating if it's just creating the momentum play.
Sure.
So being on special teams is great.
Well, Luther, man, you're fun to watch. I know you guys got high hopes in Missouri. Stay healthy, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You got a great future ahead of you, and good luck this year.
Thank you.
All right, Luther Burden III. See him, because once he's gone, he's gone.
All right, from one of the best wide receivers in the country in Luther Burden, let's get to one of our best friends, and that's Barrett Sallee.
All right, we are here with our good friend Barrett Sallee. You can check him everywhere. I'm going to let him plug because his show is everywhere. It's fantastic. But Barrett, I want to start off with something me and you were talking about right before we got on. John McDade,
Director of Officiating,
had a comment about the horns down.
Yes.
Which I'm so tired of talking about this, but I still feel like it's important. Can you kind of tell our audience what he said?
Yeah, he said that, because Texas people here are really, really excited about talking about Texas at all times. Asking Kirby Smart questions, asking Nick Saban questions. It's like, okay, stop about the Texas thing. But the horns down thing was brought up, and McDade said, no, it's not going to be a penalty. As long as it's not in somebody's face, it's not going to be a penalty. We're in the SEC, Jake. You've been in this conference for a long time. I'm 43. I grew up in this conference. If you're a Florida player and I come up and do the gator chomp in your face, that's a penalty.
It's a penalty.
If I look at my crowd and I'm like, horns down, okay. Like, what's the problem with that?
And Barrett, that's my whole thing is that even if I score a touchdown and you're on the opposing team, and I just run up to you and get in your face and don't even do a gesture, just say something, that is a penalty.
Absolutely.
But
honestly,
it should be. It should be a penalty. It's taunting. That's different to me. But when I look at the two scenarios, hey, I score a touchdown or we get a pick, and I look to the crowd and go horns down, or I go celebrate with my teammates and we do horns down. That should not be a penalty. But the thing that I've noticed, and maybe it's just with Texas coming into the SEC, kind of getting more integrated with that fan base, is that your everyday rank and file Texas fan does not really care about the horns down, saga, gesture, whatever. I go back to, it's like the upper level people, like Rodney Terry on the basketball team last year. Is this something that the people in the higher ups in the Versailles of the Texas campus get mad about and the fans really don't care?
I don't think most fans care, but the important fans care.
Yeah.
And those are the ones with the money.
Yeah.
Because they think so highly of themselves that anybody trying to put them back in their place is not only offensive, it hurts them to their core.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't. That's really dumb. That's really lazy. It's really sensitive. But no, fans, the students probably don't care. You know, I'm 43. People my age probably don't care unless they have the money that is being funneled through the athletic department to make them what they are, because they feel like that's a threat.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that it's just taunting. It's putting them back in their place. And they don't know how to handle that.
Yeah. This is Big Bad Texas. And I do want to shift to another team that's pretty big and bad, and that's Georgia. Kirby Smart was talking in there. And something, and look, Georgia's unbelievably talented. I believe that they're going to have a chance to play for a national championship with what they have coming back, Carson Beck and all them. But did you notice nobody asked Kirby Smart one question, at least that I heard when I was in there, and correct me if I'm wrong, about any of the off-the-field stuff that's gone on in Georgia? Did that surprise you, or did you hear something maybe I didn't?
Nobody asked him in the big room.
Yeah.
But for those Daily Wire viewers who are not kind of into SEC media days, he's going to go into 6 different rooms after this, not the big one. There's other ones. I'm sure he's going to be asked about it then. He's going to go on sort of go on Radio Row with a couple spots. He'll be asked about it then. But a lot of these coaches and players, before they go on the big stage, they have a local media scrum where you're in like a suite and it's just like the local writers. And he was asked about it there. And he did say that the suspensions are, actually, this is very interesting. There are no suspensions. They actually get fined through the collective.
Wow.
Which is, I've kind of heard that it happens, but never directly like that. Mm-hmm. So that to me is fascinating.
It is.
And then Carson Beck was asked about it too, and he said, "I don't drive like an idiot, so I have nothing to worry about."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fascinating to see that we've come from Georgia players, and the running joke was get 2-game suspension, and Steve Spurrier always said, well, that means that we're not going to see some of their stars. They've gone from that to now financially you get docked.
Do you think that's more effective, though? I mean, hitting people in their wallet.
Yeah, it is.
That's probably more
Here's
effective.
the thing. You know, Ollie Gordon II from Oklahoma State was in the news with his DUI, and Mike Gundy said he's going to play. But nobody asked him financially if he took a hit and got fined. Maybe that's what's happening everywhere, and nobody's really asked about it, and coaches are willing to talk about it, but just don't go out of their way to say it.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's two sides of business. You want it in the business.
Yes.
So now there's two sides to the business, and I hope that leads to even more, well-constructed NIL deals and stuff where you do have, clauses and certain things you can do and certain things you can't. I want to go on the field of Georgia for a second. We're here with Barrett, Sallee. When you look at this Georgia team, and I've talked to multiple people within the program, talked with Rusty Manziel about this Georgia team is unbelievably talented. But as crazy as this sounds, and I believe it's probably going to end up looking pretty good for Georgia, there's questions about the defensive line compared to where there's been in previous years. Do you have any worry about Georgia defensively maybe taking a step back or maybe even being an offensive-driven team?
Zero.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. Georgia now is at that spot where it's just lather, rinse, repeat. Remember Alabama? It was like, oh my God, defensive tackle X is not going to be there. Well, we're just going to clone him in some science building on campus, and there's just somebody else that sort of rolls in there.
It's like on Dodgeball when he's like, let me introduce you to Blaze,
Laser, Taser. My, whatever confidant, Michel.
Fitness consigliere.
Fitness consigliere, Michel. Yeah. No, not worried about that at all. The fact that they can move Michael Williams around in a bunch of different places, I think, tells you all you need to know about how comfortable they are, because he might be the best player in college football, and he's going to have a home as a rush, as an edge, but he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
So, no, not worried about that. With that said, yes, they're going to be an offensive-driven team because offense drives the bus everywhere now, except Iowa.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at that team, why wouldn't they? They've got a really deep running back core. Trevor Etienne's good. He's not a Heisman-caliber running back, and he won't have to do that because there are two other guys behind him that are just as good. And wide receiving-wise, you don't have Ladd McConkey. You don't have Brock Bowers. Oscar Delp's a really good tight end.
Yeah.
We saw him last year. And Ladd was great. Still got Dominic Lovett. Still got Rod Thomas. Still got 4 guys coming in through the transfer portal / high school recruiting. Georgia is Alabama in the heyday of Nick Saban.
That's exactly right.
They're Ohio State in the heyday of Urban Meyer. And you could probably say the same thing about Ohio State this year, too. But, no, not worried at all. No concern for Georgia. If they don't have any injuries, I don't necessarily say they're going to cruise to the national championship, but I would be shocked if they weren't in the national championship.
Yeah, I would say them and Ohio State have the top 2 rosters.
Ohio State, if Ryan Day decides to start a quarterback not named Will Howard.
I'm telling you, people think I'm crazy. The fact that the man hasn't been named the starting quarterback yet, at least to this point that I've seen, raises questions.
He was beat out by Avery Johnson at Kansas State.
Well, he's going to have to make, when they play teams of high caliber, he's going to have to make 5 to 7 big-time throws.
Now, he has receivers.
Yeah, well, that's great, but you got to throw the ball to
Correct.
him. I mean, a lot of teams have had receivers. You got to be able to deliver the pill. I want to end with this. We both have an Auburn background.
Yes.
Hugh Freeze going into year 2. You get your first 5 games at home.
Mm-hmm.
For Auburn to reach that 8-win plateau mark, do they have to start 5-0?
They don't have to. I don't think they have to. It will be a lot more difficult, obviously, if they didn't. But I think people are sleeping on Auburn a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think they should be mentioned in that conversation with like Tennessee and Missouri and Texas A&M, because the problems last year were more centered around Peyton Thorne than they were on the quarterback with Peyton Thorne. The offensive line got better. He had no time last year. The wide receivers couldn't get open. There were no separation at all. So, I mean, if you're throwing to guys who are covered like a blanket, it's hard to succeed, obviously, right? That's not necessarily rocket science. So the offensive line being better helps. 3 wide receivers who come in and do different things, and that's the important part. You're not just looking at 3 deep threats. That's going to help Peyton Thorne. Defensively, I don't think they're going to be much different. I mean, whatever, they're fine. But because the schedule is easier, they get Alabama and Georgia, but they get Alabama and Georgia every year, so whatever. Big games at home. Don't play Texas, and have slight improvements in really, really important areas will go a long way.
Yeah, and look, Peyton Thorne got to make better decisions. Having better pieces around him will obviously, or at least should obviously.
Not throwing ground balls also would help.
And not staring at the rush.
And
like
Rivaldo Fairweather. Like, think about this.
We talked about it last night.
Yeah, we talked about it last night at Gabriel's.
Frankie's. Yeah.
If you have a receiver, just one, who can get separation consistently, the tight end opens up everything in that offense.
Yeah, the ultimate mismatch. I agree with you. Rivaldo Fairweather's a guy not enough people are talking about. I think he's going to be one of the first tight ends taken in the NFL draft at the end of this year. But you'd be one of the first guys I'd take in the sports media draft.
I appreciate that. You too.
Hey, well, I appreciate that. Tell everybody where they can find you. Outkick, Covered and Smothered. You got everything going on.
Yeah, you can follow my podcast, College Football Smothered and Covered, on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. We go live basically every single day, unless I have dad duties, which you're gonna have. You're gonna have that soon. You're gonna have that soon, and then
I'm trying to get some mental reps.
Yeah,
now.
and then writing for Outkick, Sirius XM on Sunday mornings, babysitting Tom Luganville.
We love Tom Luganville
here. So lots going on.
Definitely. Barrett, thanks so much. But it's always great to see you. SEC Media Days here with one of the best. Subscribe or be lame.
God, man, gotta love Barrett. Gotta love Barrett. This next guy, though, has got a lot of things to prove in the SEC conference. That is a quarterback at Mississippi State. Sits down with Jake, and that is Blake Shapen.
All right, we are here with new Mississippi State starting quarterback Blake Shapen. The outfits, again, have been phenomenal. Looking really, it's the powder blue. Just it works. It works.
I appreciate it.
Blake, I'm going to ask you, man. You know, you're a guy that is coming into a new system with an awesome mind of Jeff Levy. Awesome offensive mind. Can you just talk about how much fun it's already been already? Just getting on the board with him and going through all those things, because the guy can dial it up and you can spin it.
No doubt, yeah. No, it's been a blessing that I was able to link up with him and be able to, make this whole situation work. And, it's been a blessing because the offense that he runs, up-tempo, getting the ball out quick, throwing the ball down the field, that's what every great quarterback wants to be a part of, is to showcase all their skills. And so I'm getting the opportunity to be able to do that in his offense.
Definitely. In year one, you guys are wanting to come in and establish, how it's going to go throughout the Levy era, throughout your career there. Obviously the main goal is winning. You want to win every game you play. You don't put in all this time not to win. But outside of just the score on the scoreboard, what is the one thing you guys want to do this year to put Mississippi State on a path to be able to go as far as they can?
I think for us it's sticking together. We got a gauntlet of a schedule. There's going to be some ups and downs, and it's just going to be a process throughout the whole season, dealing with the road games that we got, the home games. We play a tough schedule, so being able to stick together, not let these moments affect us, and moving forward, and whether it's a win or a loss.
Without a doubt. Now, you're a baseball player, right, as well. You play shortstop?
Yep, play shortstop.
Look, I always believe in a shortstop. So let's talk about the parallels there. Different arm angles and things. How did playing baseball at the level that you played at, and for as long as you played it, how has it helped you as a quarterback in all the ways?
I think it's helped me be more natural. Being able to throw the ball from different arm slots, being able to get the ball out quick. Whenever you're turning a double play, you got to get it out quick. And that goes along with our quick game stuff, getting the ball out. Throwing on the run, you got to do that in baseball. When you come up a field or ground ball, you got to throw on the run. There's a lot of different ways that it correlates, but it's been a good thing that I was an infielder, and it kind of correlates to being a quarterback too.
Definitely, man. Well, we're rooting for you. I know it's a new era at Mississippi State. Everybody's excited about it, and I'm excited to watch you guys take the field and start operating in that witchcraft and wizardry that Coach
I appreciate it.
Out there, man.
Thank
Great
you.
to meet you.
Good meeting
Blake
you.
Shapen, I'm telling you, guy can play baseball. Guy can damn sure play football. Make sure you subscribe.
All right, another great interview there by Jake with quarterback Blake Shapen. Jake sits down next with Tyler Booker.
Talking
about earlier in the week had said, hey, I don't care if Coach Saban didn't pick us to win the conference. I don't care what guys who play golf all day. So let's check out Jake's interview with Tyler Booker.
All right, we are here with a guy that I wish he protected me. He happens to just protect Jalen Milroe, Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker. Tyler, first off, the chain's fantastic. Can you show that to the camera right there? Show that bad boy.
Yes, sir.
It's very nice. Goes well with the watch. Looking good, looking fresh. And you're a fan of Crain Company. Says he watches our show sometimes on TikTok, man. I appreciate that. Look, everybody's, I'm sure, asking, hey, Nick Saban's gone, and Kalen DeBoer's the head coach now. How's the team? How's everybody doing? But you guys' culture is so good in that locker room.
Yeah.
And the leadership y'all have, it shines through. You can't win the games that y'all won and achieved what y'all achieved without having that. Has that been the thing that, not that Coach DeBoer needed that, but did that kind of give you a little bit of relief when Coach Saban decided that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and step away and bring in a new guy in that our locker room can sustain anything?
Of course. First and foremost, we love Coach Saban. Coach Saban has instilled such values in us, such as culture, such as the standard. And while he upholds it, it's lived through us. We uphold the standard as players, and that starts with us. And I feel like having such a high standard has made Coach DeBoer's job a lot easier. And he has a culture at Washington as well, and everywhere else that he's been, just of winning. So those two pair very well.
They say that the good teams are policed by the coaches, the elite teams are policed by the players.
Exactly.
And it seems like that's what y'all have. I'm going to get back to Coach DeBoer in a minute, but I want to talk about offensive line player with you. We always talk about versatility at running back. You need to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield and pass protect and obviously run the ball. We talk about receivers having a block, be able to go up and high point the ball and go down and make a catch and take a hit. but you got to have versatility as an offensive lineman.
Definitely.
Can you just talk about your growth as a player from a pass protection standpoint? I don't know how much skip pulling y'all do, but the versatility of playing offensive line and how important that is, because I don't think enough people talk about y'all. It's a skill position. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes, sir. It's such an intricate position because we have to do so much, and one of the movements that we do the most are so unnatural. It's very similar to DB. Like, they have to run backwards, and we have to pass protect backwards. If somebody described offensive line play to me like this, you're doing algebra in a fist fight, because as you got 300-pound guys running towards you, you might have to go inside and get the 220-pound linebacker that's listening to A-gap if you're on the short side. So there's a lot that goes into it. But my progression as an offensive lineman has really just come from some of the coaches that I've had. So in high school, I had Coach George Hageman. He's at Colorado now, and he taught me the importance of run blocking. Then I had Coach Trey Thomas of the Eagles. He taught me the importance of pass protection. Then I had Eric Wolford. He's at Kentucky now. He just taught me the importance of mindset. And Coach Cap now is teaching me the importance of just really honing in on your technique. So being an offensive lineman, you have to be able to take little things from every coach and every player that you come across.
My last question for you, Taylor. I know you're a busy man. Every time Alabama comes to media days, y'all are always one of the hottest topics. But Coach DeBoer, it's what I've noticed, and I talked to him during the Senior Bowl, and when you take over for a guy like Nick Saban, you can't go try and be Nick Saban, right? You got to be yourself. It seems like, obviously, he wants the same success. He wants the same great things, but he's going about it his way. And to me, that's real, because you can fool a lot of people. You can't fool your players. How is Coach DeBoer different? And how has that affected you guys, like getting to know him? Is it just like a weird, like you're living in a different world right now?
Not necessarily. We've adjusted so well, and the transition has been seamless. And some advice I gave to Coach DeBoer, I said, just be you. Don't try to be Coach Saban. And he's taken that and ran with it, because he's gotten this far by being Kellen DeBoer. Don't get to the dance and try to be Nick Saban. He's been himself, and I love Coach DeBoer from that. I've learned a lot from him, and I can't wait to get on the field and win some ball games with him.
Well, Tyler, I can't wait to watch you, buddy.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck. Congrats on all the success. Keep doing it. You're a heck of a dude.
Appreciate
Good
that.
luck to
Great
you.
to meet you.
All right, Tyler Booker. I think we're just gonna walk around together and talk the rest of the time here at SEC Media Days. Make sure you subscribe.
Got a lot of good stuff right there from Tyler. I'm interested to see Alabama this year under a new coach. This next guy, congratulations. First of all, just having a baby girl. His wife is on 3, one of the best in the business. That is J.D. PicKell.
Congrats, man.
All right, we're going to kick SEC Media Days off in Dallas with one of our favorites, guy from a place we have a lot of respect for, On 3 Sports, J.D. PicKell. Future girl dad like your boy. J.D., what's up, buddy?
We're here, man. It's great to be here with you. It feels like it is the unofficial official kick of the college football season, and I'm going to be texting you at 2 a.m. saying, Jake, is your baby crying? Because mine is, how are you making this stop?
Yeah, we are literally like on parallel tracks of having baby girls. So we're going to have like maybe our own little group chat that we can air our grievances and try and learn from, compare playbooks, swap jerseys, all type of stuff.
It's going to be great.
Speaking about playbooks, obviously this is day one SEC Media Day. Ole Miss is a team, and we've talked about this on Crain & Company a lot, that I feel like, JD, in the past it's been, all right, we know they can score.
Yep.
They can't really win in multiple ways. They've got to pretty much outscore you. But now I look at the expectations at Ole Miss, and I look at this team, the roster, the depth up front, including on the front seven and what they've done in the transfer portal. And then you look at the schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, should Ole Miss fans be more hyped about this year than ever before? Because I feel like they legitimately can not only win the league, but win a couple games in the college football playoff, maybe even further.
No, I'm 100% with you. I think when you look at the roster, the schedule, and also the way that the college football playoff has changed. Like it used to be, you got to get through Nick Saban. You got to beat the final boss to get in that Final Four. Like, God bless you, that's not going to happen. But now with 12 teams getting in the dance, even if you just go 10-2, a 10-2 SEC team, Jake, I think you and I probably agree, you got to feel pretty good about your chances to get into that dance. So I think the way that they're set up, and like you said, their chance to not just get to the dance, but I think go on a run, if Jaxson Dart takes that step in year 3 that he took from year 1 to year 2 in that system, they're going to be dangerous. Darty season is all the time in Ole Miss. I understand that, but especially in the fall, I think it's going to be a lot of Darties.
I'm a big believer in names, especially coming from the baseball side of me. I mean, Jaxson Dart at quarterback, I just feel like that's worth at least a couple touchdowns a year. But, I think one of the biggest steps that Jaxson made last year, going through last year, was he stopped turning the ball over, yes, but he started seeing past intermediate defenders. It seemed to me before that a lot of his turnovers
were guys in the intermediate that he just never saw. It's like it didn't register to him, whether it be linebackers, whether it be nickels, whether it be down safeties. It seemed like he kind of figured that out. So I'm glad to see him take that step, and now being a guy that could be in Heisman contention. But going back to Lane Kiffin, and this is something I talked about with a couple other guys here at Radio Row, do you think his style and maybe the risk-taking on fourth downs, pitching backwards, now that he has all the bullets in the chamber, offensively, defensively, on special teams from the roster in general, do you think he maybe eases his foot off that risk pedal because he feels like he can not line up in base and be
Sure.
but he doesn't need to have to rob Peter to pay Paul from a play calling standpoint?
Sure. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that coming from a coaching background. My initial reaction is you are who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think in some sense you got to dance with the one that brung you. And so if you're a guy that goes for it on fourth down and that's your style, like, hey, maybe it's maybe you feel better about your roster, but if you go for it on fourth down with a bunch of 3 stars, like you definitely go for it on fourth down with a bunch of 5 stars. So I think that's probably my thought process. And also if you're an Ole Miss fan, like to use an analogy, like you know what you're signing up for when you order spicy food. Mm-hmm. You know what you're signing up for when you got Lane Kiffin, calling your offense for you more or less.
So it could go one of two ways.
It's going, yeah, exactly. You know what you're getting into. And so I think for Ole Miss fans, like, I want Lane Kiffin to be Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Because that's why he's been so successful at Ole Miss, in my opinion, because Ole Miss has allowed him to be Lane Kiffin from the portal to social media. And like that was one of the things when the Auburn job came up with him, and it was when, is it Hugh Freeze, is it Lane Kiffin? I was always like, man, I don't know if he's a fit at a place like Auburn when he fits so well at a place like Ole Miss. So that's another rabbit hole to get down. But I think that he just stays who he is, and I think that's why he's successful.
Yeah, and to the point, if it was me, if I was in Lane's shoes, I think, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. But I think what this gives him now is the ability to not go away from what brought you, but kind of see how the game is ebbing and flowing.
Sure.
And just being in a position to be able to make the decision, hey, do I play it safer here? Hey, do I take more chances? I don't think he's been in that position to be able to do that. So you can be 90% of yourself and be better. So that's, to me, just kind of the stuff in the gray area that I find fascinating. I do want to move on to another team that we're having here today, here on this Monday at SEC Media Days in Dallas. We're all like Icarus, so close to the sun right now with the lighting, you can tell.
Beautiful.
But I love having you on, JD. LSU.
Yep.
Offensively, asking them to be what they were last year, it's unfair.
No.
All right. Now, you got one of the best offensive line, maybe the best offensive line in college football when you look at it. I think Garrett Nussmeier's really going to explode onto the scene this year. He's played some high-pressure, high-efficiency snaps, and I think he can do it. You look on the defensive side, and JD, as a guy that grew up loving college football the way that me and you both did, it's amazing that I sit in a world now and wonder if LSU is going to be good enough on defense to win. We're not far removed from Les Miles having the quarterback pitch it to the running back and then have the quarterback lead block with the fullback on offense. But now we're wondering, hey, we know LSU can score, even though Jaden Daniels isn't there anymore. Defensively, how much better do you think this team will be? Because if they are, they could go pretty decently far.
100. I mean, I think the question, too, is, like, how much better do they have to be?
Yeah.
Like, do they have to be, we're allowing 24 points a game good? Or is it like, hey, just spot us a quick 7 points to start the game and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting conversation. I do love what they've done on that staff. Lake Baker and Bo Davis. I know a lot of Texas fans were upset to see Bo Davis leave because,
and they should be.
In my opinion, he changed the course of Texas football history with that rant on the bus saying, hey, if you don't want to be here, get in the portal. Yeah. And I think that was exactly what they needed. When I look at the conversation between the defense and the offense for LSU, so much of it does go back to that question, what's the give and take? Is the offense probably not scoring 40 a game? Are they 38 a game? Are they 37 a game? And that kind of sets the temperature. I do think it's interesting to look at the formula of Ole Miss, or not Ole Miss, rather. Well, Ole Miss kind of falls in the same category. Could it be a thing where, hey, we're scoring 40 today. Try and catch us. Yeah. And not that they're going to average that, but I think just that rhythm is so interesting. And it's funny you talk about Garrett Nussmeier, not to get too off track here, talking about the defense, but Garrett Nussmeier, this time last year we're saying, hey, can Jaden Daniels unhitch the wagon and throw it deep? Because if he can, they could be successful. Nobody in Baton Rouge is wondering if Garrett Nussmeier wants to throw the football deep. No. They feel pretty good about that. So that's a roundabout way to agree with you and say, I think the defense is the big question, as everyone probably would attest to. I do think the offense, though, is going to be the motor and is going to be ultimately what gets you to where you want to go. I think they could be a 10-win team.
Yeah, and part of that defense, Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
I get asked all the time from LSU fans, what should we do with Harold Perkins? What should we do with Harold Perkins? The question becomes, if you're going to put him in the box, leave him in the box, and can he see it?
Yeah.
Because you can be as fast as humanly. My father was an All-American linebacker, ran 4.8. 4.8.
No kidding.
At middle linebacker. But he knew where the ball was going before it went there. So it's not how fast you are, it's how fast you get to the spot. He used to say, look, my 40-yard dash wasn't good, but if you're having to run 40 yards to catch somebody at linebacker, I don't want your ass. And that's the truth. But we now look at Harold Perkins. If he can see it, leave him in the box. If not, let him be outside, give him a couple things to do, and let him operate. What do you kind of think if you're LSU at this point with Harold Perkins? You got to just stick him somewhere and let him eat.
Yeah, my big thing is, let's play to his strengths.
Yeah.
And I understand the thought behind what we worried about his NFL future. We want him to be able to be drafted as high as possible. I'm sitting here saying there's a lot of guys that get paid a lot of money in the NFL to know what to do with guys of Harold Perkins' caliber.
Yep.
Figure it out when it gets there. But you want to put the best things on tape possible, which to me, in the short sample size we have of Harold Perkins 2 years playing college football, is dude knows how to hunt the quarterback. And so if it's me, I say, okay, we'll play you in the box situationally, potentially, if it's advantageous for the defense. But that dude knows how to get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's put him on the edge. Let's try and get him a one-on-one matchup with some poor tight end or a tackle or whatever it ends up being, and let him go eat and take over the game, because that's what we've seen throughout the course of his freshman year. I still have flashbacks of that Arkansas game where he just tracked down Malik Hornsby, the track star, and I was like, oh my gosh.
That was the
cook.
point to me. I was like, okay, this guy is freaky. Last thing, if you're gonna let a guy hunt and he's gonna hunt, put him in position to hunt, like you're saying. If that's, hey, you don't want to have too many tendencies, but if you can look at one spot and then rush the passer, or hey, because he can play man coverage.
Yeah.
Harold Perkins can legitimately play man coverage. So that's something I'm interested to see Blake Baker. I would love to have that problem. I think that's a very high-class problem for Blake Baker to have. But I tell you what, man, it's always first class when you come on Crain & Company. Tell everybody where they can find you. Just excited to be here, man, and it's going to be a hell of a season.
Man, it's exciting to be here with you, exciting to be here in Dallas. But yeah, if you want to follow our content, the On3 YouTube channel, we're live 3 times a week, live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Texas time, Central.
Yep.
So that'll be a good time. And then if you are a podcast person, you type in The Hard Count with JD PicKell, and you find us on Spotify or Apple. But man, always a pleasure. This feels like we're here now. It feels like we're on now,
I know. I'm ready to strap it up right now.
Yeah, let's roll.
I'll go run through a wall right now.
Let's
but
go.
JD, thanks, buddy.
My guy.
Congrats
Appreciate
again
Thank
on the
you.
baby girl. We're going to be sharing that together. It's going to be a lot of laughter and maybe a little bit of tears. Make sure you subscribe to Crain & Company, where you'll get a lot of laughter and maybe a little bit of tears too.
Got great stuff right there from JD. This next guy, though, you got to love him. One of the best voices in sports. That is the one and only Dari Nowkhah. Sits down with Jake Crain.
All right, we are here. The SEC Network, SiriusXM. You can catch him everywhere. Dari Nowkhah. Just turn on your TV at any point in time. You're probably about to see him. Dari, first off, man, thanks for joining us. Really enjoy watching your coverage and what you guys do.
I appreciate it.
And I tell you what, man, and we talk about Texas and Oklahoma and coming to Dallas for SEC Media Days, but just looking at college football and college sports in general, the amount of changes that we've had, the expanded playoff in college football, obviously NIL, the transfer portal, conference realignment with Texas and Oklahoma. And some people are a little afraid of change, but this is such an exciting time for college sports. So, just your thoughts on everything that's going on and just the net impact.
Yeah, I think the net impact is obviously it's huge, right?
Yeah.
Turnarounds can be faster. Relearning a team's roster, even if you're a hardcore fan of that team. Who left? Who didn't leave? Why did they leave? But I think there are going to be people that are fundamentally opposed to unlimited transfers. There are going to be people that are fundamentally opposed to NIL being used, however NIL is being used, which isn't the way it was designed to be used. Yeah. But in the end, they'll say, you got to adapt or you're going to be left behind. It's no different for fans. Adapt. If you decide players are being paid too much and that's going to turn you off the game, you're in the minority.
Yeah.
Because it's a incredibly passionate fan base that this is the new reality. Are you going to hate college football now because this is the new reality, or are you going to embrace it and get behind it? I think people are just going to get behind it. Yeah. It's changed. I don't know if it's for the better. I don't know if it's for the worse, but it's still going to be college football, and you're still going to see the same logos and the same jerseys. and the same rivalries and the same passionate fan bases.
Yeah, well, the on-the-field product's never been better,
No.
and it's continuing to get better. And I think, maybe building the parachute on the way down wasn't the best way to go about this. I think the ball of clay is going to get molded better in the end once whatever happens. But looking in Texas and Oklahoma, coming in the Southeastern Conference, I mean, people have asked me, and my main thing is, I think they're a perfect fit, not just because they're big brands, which Oklahoma and Texas are, but Dari, they're as nuts as we are about this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma. Like I went to, this is, that's, you always people want to kind of joke it just means more, right? I mean, it becomes like a punchline for other conferences. It just means more. But I was just in Norman last week and talking to fans there. It just means more applies to, in the SEC, within these fan bases, every touchdown means a little more. Every touchdown against you means a little more. Every win means a little more. It dictates your mood a little bit more. It dictates how much you want to talk to your spouse a little bit more. It dictates your conversations at work a little bit more. It causes you to lose a little bit more sleep, maybe, if you lose, right? That's Texas fans. That's OU fans. They are, in every single way, shape, and form, they are the perfect fit for this league. And this league, I think, is perfect for them because, like you said, it's not just about the interlocking OU, and it's not just about the Longhorn. It's about how much the success or failure of these programs impacts its fans on a daily basis. Their fans on a daily basis. That's the SEC. It's what the SEC's always been. That's what Texas is, and that's what Oklahoma is.
Just like it's their way of life, it's our way of life.
100%. 100%. They're not that much different.
No, not
from
at
everybody
all.
else in this league.
Not at all. But speaking about different, having the ties to Oklahoma, you do. I want to ask you about Coach Venables, and I'm going to continue to say and continue to believe that I can already see the identity and mindset shift in Oklahoma with just the toughness level they play offensively and defensively now. It feels like they're building a more complete team. And I'm not trying to take shots at Lincoln Riley, but we got to call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
They were an offensive team that wanted to get in a track meet and hope you didn't score one more point than they did. Do you feel like Brent Venables and Oklahoma coming into this league are in a better position now than they would be if Lincoln Riley
1,000%. The second Venables was hired, I said, they are going to be in a better position because of this. In the end, it hurts now. What Lincoln did hurts. There's no question about it. But I don't know. I mean, I was one of the people that were sitting here watching on the internet when the Venables plane was flying into Norman late at night, and there were thousands of OU fans ready to cheer them on. There was this new hope that, he's an OU guy, right? He coached for a decade there with Bob Stoops before he went to Clemson. He knows what it means to be here. Lincoln didn't know what it means to be here. He appreciates defense. He's a great recruiter on both sides of the ball. Lincoln wasn't a great recruiter on both sides of the ball. And, here comes the savior, right? I think Brent was kind of seen as the savior. And I think he's done a really good job. I don't think anybody appreciated what Lincoln did to OU when he left. Those that he took with him, the impact it had on the recruiting class, right? And 6 and 7 for Brent year one, he took a lot of heat for that. But I don't know that was that disappointing given what he had to deal with. To battle back and win 10 games in year two, to address the deficiencies on defense in terms of recruiting in the portal the way that he has. He's got 11 of their top 13 tacklers back. He's made huge additions in the portal, including up front with a transfer from TCU. He's addressing defense while not ignoring offense. And because of that, I think they are deeper than they would have been otherwise with Lincoln. They're already more competitive. They're bigger in the trenches. They look like an SEC team. Lincoln's teams never did. That's how they continued to lose in the college football playoff against SEC teams, and a couple times it was ugly.
That's exactly right. Well, when it comes to Lincoln, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going out for milk and never come back. It's another thing to empty out everybody's bank account and then say, I'm going out
That's
to
exactly
get milk
right.
and never coming back.
And to wonder, how many of those accounts he was emptying out while they were preparing for Baylor and preparing for Oklahoma State and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah. Last question for you, Dari. I know you're a busy man, but kind of taking a 30,000-foot view, I always thought it was interesting. And, look, I don't love the 12 number. I thought it should be 8. I think 8 gives you room to go to 12. Now we're going to probably have to go eventually from 12 to 16. I just feel like, heck, we can't even have the college basketball tournament stay at 68 teams the way it goes. But when you look at people that said, oh, it's going to lessen or diminish the importance of the regular season, I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah.
I mean, now that game at the end of the year when you're 9-2.
That's right.
Like, that last game
That's
could
right.
be the one that gets you in the playoffs.
I was one of those that didn't want to expand. I didn't, because I said, I don't want to have a 3-loss team in college football has a chance for a championship. That's never been college football. And I did think it would diminish the regular season. The more I thought about it, the more people I talked to, think about those weeks, the early to mid-November, even late November. How many more games is the average college football fan going to have an interest in nationally, because you might have a team that you need to lose to get your team in, a team that is sitting there. You got the Iowa, Minnesota, and you could really use Minnesota to knock off Iowa to help slide your team in. There are, so many more games. I think 25, 30 games when you get in November are still going to have some sort of playoff impact every single week. Before it was, 6 to 8?
Yeah.
I think we all win because of this. And they've done a really good job of structuring it with 4 byes, 4 home teams, and then 4 teams to get in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great point. We haven't talked about early in the season. Now you can drop a game, maybe 2, and hey, we're still in it. Like, if we run the table in the end, we're still in it and can make the 12.
Yeah, still in it. May not host.
Yeah.
Right? May not have a bye. But, and again, I think college football is the one game where losses should hurt, and they always do.
For sure.
And maybe that early loss doesn't hurt as much. But I think when it comes to stretching out the importance of the entire regular season, I think the playoff will do that.
Without a doubt. Well, man, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
You
Great
got
to
it.
see you.
Happy to.
Dari, Nowkhah, easy to find him. SEC Network, like I said, just turn on your TV, turn on your radio. You're bound to hear him or see him. Make sure you subscribe to get more content like this.
All right, well, there you have it. That's all the interviews that Jake was able to get. We ran you everything that we got from our correspondent, Jake Crain, there in Dallas. I thought we did a good job holding down the fort here.
Good job.
In the studio.
David.
With Earl.
Great job. You want to talk about a perfection job, it's that guy right there, Earl.
It is Flaming Dragon Friday.
Y'all
I'm just going to
lost.
go ahead and count this under
Y'all
hit,
lost.
okay?
Y'all lost.
Anything else from you? Any other thoughts from SEC Media Days? Obviously, we got the ACC coming up next week. We're going to have the Big Ten. Any final thoughts on the week?
I thought everything, it wasn't as overblown as I thought it would be. There's not a lot of drama, in my opinion. Man, it's just we're getting closer and closer to that ball kicking off. And you can smell it and you can feel it. And this is the first taste of it right here.
I mean, even this first week, man, when you start talking about LSU playing Southern Cal, Notre Dame going to go on the road to Texas A&M, Florida going to play Miami. Those are the type of games that can define a season even early on.
A lot of sleeper teams out there that can ruin a lot of people's seasons.
All right. Well, I'm proud of you.
Proud of you.
All right. I hope you have a great weekend, and we hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to Crain & Company. We'll see you next Monday.